doing a few recordings on my vacation here in beautiful Park City, Utah. So please enjoy the background. Sometimes it gets sunny, but I'm not the important thing here. I'm not that good looking. Okay. Compensatory education is part of a due process, and they're trying to get you to agree that your child's not entitled to any compensatory services. And he was without services from the district, if I remember correctly from the question, from November 2018 until August of 2019. And then per the agreement, they're agreeing to pay for a private placement, okay? So there's two aspects to, let's say, a due process. You would have the school district's current duty. That would be this school year, their current duty to provide your child with free and appropriate public education. And then you would have your right to compensatory, going back whatever your statute is. Most of the country, it's 2 years. I know that in Texas and North Carolina, it's 1 year. So if you're in a state that's 2 years, then yes, you would go back during that and do an analysis going backwards. Quite frankly, your due process complaint, whenever that filing date was, it's that filing date going back. Okay, so that means that a school district has an opportunity to screw up to where you're entitled to even file a new complaint or amend your current complaint if things aren't improved. Okay, so just all parents need to remember that mediation and a due process, not really a state complaint. Okay, and not really an OCR complaint. Mediation and a due process. That filing date going back is what the analysis would be. Now, in your complaint, if you are complaining about your current school year, then yes, those would sort of track forward, but not really. That is still going to be the date. Now, in my experience, when we reach a point to where we're negotiating a settlement agreement, the district will always pinpoint that day of settlement as the date that it resolves all issues and all complaints going backwards and up into the date of our settlement agreement, which I'm okay with as long as we cover everything and dot all the I's and cross all the T's, okay? But that's tracking backwards. So anytime we get involved in a case, we're looking forward. How are we needing to fix the IEP, the current one? And then what wasn't done, and what is it that we were really complaining about in the due process complaint, tracking back. And that would be the compensatory fix. So fixing the current and then the compensatory services. So in your particular situation, if you are at that point of negotiating a settlement and they're saying, look, we want to pay for this private placement, great. It depends on how you want to look at it, and it is a negotiation. If it's a settlement agreement and a judge hasn't rendered a decision, and if they're agreeing to pay for that moving forward, then of course they're going to come back to you and say, well, we're not going to pay for any compensatory because this expensive private placement would count for that compensatory. And I've done situations like that, but of course the parents would have to be in agreement with it. But if you're viewing it, and a lot of parents do, and we've done it this way as well, where we've looked at it as this fixes here, doesn't fix this, then you need to go back to the table and they need to throw in some compensatory services. Now, in due process or in any kind of settlement case, including when a hearing officer or a federal judge renders a decision, you're not going to get an hour for hour compensatory. It's just not how that works. So there's just not enough hours in a day to award a child an hour per hour, whatever they lost. So that does become a negotiation. So you just need to work with your school district to try to fashion a good set of compensatory services that would work. But there's nothing that says that, you're stuck with that. This is a negotiation at that point. And of course, the school district's going to want to frame it in their favor. There's nothing wrong with counter proposals. We do them all the time, okay? But I hope that made sense as to, how you would view going forward and then compensatory going back, okay?